Welcome, Julie Ertz. Welcome to the State of the Union podcast. Listen, if you don't know who Julie Ertz is, well, you're a moron, and why the hell are you listening to a soccer podcast? 31 years old, a badass midfielder for the U.S. Women's National Team, played for many years for the Chicago Red Stars. Now, after a 2-year, let's call it a sabbatical, she returns, getting ready for the World Cup this summer, and returns with Angel City. Welcome to the pod, Julie. I know that you are talking about a lot of different things, including this partnership, Abbott and the Real Madrid Foundation to beat malnutrition. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first off, I guess, how is your body doing as you return? And I will say this, many years ago, probably before you were even born, at the end of my career, I took a year off. I took kind of a sabbatical. And what I found was when I came back, I was running on adrenaline, and that only lasted for a little bit, and then you kind of regress to the mean, and then you have to work yourself back up. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but how are you feeling right now, physically, emotionally, mentally, as you prepare not only for the World Cup, but continue to do good things for Angel City?
I feel good. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still running off of adrenaline. I just enjoy it. I think, having Madden gave me obviously a different perspective, but I think the joy of being back has just been at its probably the highest peak. And yeah, I feel like I'm a different type of student of the game, just being out. I don't feel like I've been out as long as everybody has been counting the days. But yeah, I feel good and I've just enjoyed it and kind of, every practice and every game, I've just kind of been using it to continue to grow.
So you say you're a different type of student of the game. So how does that manifest on the field? Like, what are you doing differently, or what are you doing better that you're almost 2 years off? And you mentioned that the birth of your son Madden kind of helped you in terms of the perspective of an actual soccer player.
Yeah, I mean, I think just I think positioning wise, obviously it's easier to watch when you're watching like the screen
Mm-hmm.
than being on the field. So I think maybe just positioning wise and different types of tactics in that way. But I also think just like kind of playing with a different perspective and joy, I think just changes the way you kind of approach the game. I think that's obviously an obvious one, but yeah, I think being able to kind of start for the first time ever, I think in my career from kind of ground zero of really just building up kind of as a whole. It just, and not that you don't in the sense of every time you play, but once I started my career season, it's, I mean, for us, it was like 11 months out of the year, and then you have December off, and then you start back up in January. So, um, and I think there's obviously really, good fitness in that as well. But really, this is the first time that I kind of could reset as a player. So there's that too. And I think just being able to try and, grow each game, each practice, and hopefully peak at the right time.
I when you made your announcement that you were coming back, I said, listen, a 80% Julie Ertz is better than 100% of a lot of players that we have out there. I was talking to your coach, Freya Kum, the other day, and she could not be more effusive of how professional you are and how great an addition you are. But as you get back, what are some of the things that you're finding is the last to come back or the hardest part to come back? You're just so good, there's nothing. I get it. I get it. I understand. Listen.
No. It's like right now, you mean, or just like when I was trying to come back?
Yeah.
Because obviously, when you come back from pregnancy, there's a lot of things that change. So I had to, yeah, let my body heal. So like I would say that was tough of like change of direction and stuff. But again, I think the reason, well, of course, I would have loved to come back, January or way earlier. It just wasn't in the cards for me in the process of getting back. I think also being a veteran at some point, you kind of just understand the expectation, right? Like you under expectation what it is and what an honor it is to be in every camp, and what the expectation is for when you're there. So I'm competitive as it is. And if I wasn't feeling like I could actually compete and actually bring something, then I wasn't going to be a joy to play with or be a joy to be around. So I think just in that process of coming back, I just enjoyed the process of it. And obviously there's ups and downs getting back. I mean, I hate puking when I run, but that's just kind of some point you have to get to where the expectation is. So yeah, I think right now it's just I'm want to get better in everything and continue to grow each game, but I'm not going to just, I don't have time to sit and sulk and be like, okay, well, um, I don't, right now, maybe that's not where I wanted it, but I don't have time to do that. I don't have, all I have time for is to continue to get better and prove my worth to the team. Because every game I have, not only am I trying to prove to Vlatko, I'm trying to earn the respect of my teammates because I'm playing against them if being on a roster is a possibility. So I don't know. It's not that I don't want to continue to get better in every aspect. It's just I know my timeline and I know my expectation kind of going into this.
All right, we're recording this 50 days out from the World Cup. Dynamics in sports and obviously in a locker room are very, very important. So you come into Angel City. Obviously, there's a lot of attention on you because you're a freaking legend, but also because of the World Cup coming up. And if you're on that team, you are going to go for potentially 3 in a row, something, again, that has never been done before, men's or women's. But, you know, how did you navigate that dynamic? Because I can picture myself or put myself in the shoes of others when you come in and say, well, is she just using Angel City and NWSL to get ready for the World Cup, or is she actually invested and wants to play for this team? Because the World Cup's going to come and go, and Angel City's going to continue on after that.
No, I mean, I think that's a reality, but I think going into, I think it's very clear anybody's goal, right? I think anybody's dream that's playing in this league wants to play for their national team, you know, regardless if that's the US or wherever. I think that's everybody's ultimate goal, right? Is if you're playing soccer, you want to play at the highest level. So I don't think that's any secret by no means. And also, I think I've made it very clear with, you know, the organization as well. And I think that was one of the beauty of Angel City as well, is that was one of the resources when I was talking about which team that I could help grow in, that their main goal was how can we help you in your goals and your focus. So, and the team's been absolutely incredible with that. And I think just the professionalism of understanding kind of that what a beautiful thing it is that your job is to be able to play this sport. And I think just within sports in general, right? Like that's, if somebody, you know, is away or not in the field, that's another opportunity for somebody else to play as well. So I think it's just part of it. You know, I think that's how the NWSL is, you know, every player is wanting to win for their team, but also to kind of show themselves to Vlatko. So I think it's just kind of ingrained and built into the league as well.
I don't know if you remember this, but many, many years ago when you were playing for the national team in the Canada World Cup up in Vancouver, you came on our incredible set that we had, our Fox set up there. Yeah, and it was an incredibly emotional, exchange. And I made you cry. You're not the first person that I've made cry coming on the show, but you have grown so much as a person and as a player. As I said, we're 50 days out from the World Cup. Do you anticipate continuing to play post 2023, or is this a short-term type of situation and just whatever happens this summer happens, and then whatever happens with Angel City this season happens, and then you'll make a decision going forward?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm really loving it right now. So obviously when you add a kid to the mix, there's so many logistics of everything trying to figure out. So I don't feel like I necessarily have an answer, but I feel like it's just to continue to fall in love with the sport, and as long as you love it and enjoy it, I think it's definitely hard to step away from, that's for sure.
All right. Well, listen, I hope you play as long as possible. But I also recognize that if and when your career does stop, that you're going to go on and do some incredible things. Do you ever think about what your life would look like, even though the last 2 years it's been a little soccerless, but what a life completely without soccer looks like post-playing career?
I mean, I definitely love being a mom. That's been a huge joy and something that I've always wanted to be. So I've really just enjoyed my time with Madden. Also just been really passionate with our foundation work as well.
I've heard you and others that are and become moms, especially during a career, talk about the impact that it has on you. How is that? Obviously, I can't understand that. So how does it impact you as a soccer player and make you different as a person and therefore a soccer player, having a player within your playing career?
I think it's obviously a balance. I think that's a huge thing, but I think when you do have the opportunities to play, it's kind of like you're playing for like a bigger reason. And it's cool just to show, like, and not that necessarily Madden will probably remember any of this, but it puts a perspective so differently and a different joy to be able to have and be a part of it. But also a huge like strength and confidence piece for me to be coming back after pregnancy, because it is such a whirlwind of emotion, a whirlwind of change. And And so to be able to get back, I think just the adversity of facing coming back from pregnancy is a lot, because you just go through so much. So I think your appreciation for your body, I think your appreciation for your family, and your appreciation to do the job that you love, changes. I also think you kind of understand the platform that you have. And I know that we've talked before while we're on here with kind of Abbott and Real Madrid, and obviously my passion for, the youth and what we do with our foundation, but also being a part and raising awareness of other things. So like with what Real Madrid Foundation Abbott are doing with the Beat Malnutrition for their last La Liga game, as everybody's wearing their armband. I know the players have given an armband, and their fans will all have the armband as well to raise awareness for things that are important in our world. And hopefully beating and screening early for childhood malnutrition. So I know that we were talking about from the beginning. I just wanted to make sure the importance of that and understanding, like, being a mom, understanding my platform as well. I think, being later in my career, I think you kind of learn the balance of it. And that, I think when you're so young and early in your career, you think that you have so much time. So I think just knowing now towards later, it's just like, I want to soak in everything and enjoy everything. So that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like that was a really long answer.
No,
so
it was wonderful. I mean, look, you're doing wonderful things on and off the field, and we welcome you back on the field. But your legacy is going to continue on even after you're kicking a ball. And you mentioned, the Ertz Family Foundation and the House of Hope that you opened up earlier, and that kind of stuff. And then obviously this association, this partnership, Abbott and the Real Madrid Foundation to beat malnutrition. So that's all good. I talked to our friend, our colleague, a woman that is going to be with us down in Australia, down in Sydney with our Fox World Cup production, the great Carly Lloyd, and I asked her about you, and she wanted to know a couple of things. So first and foremost, she wants to know, do you still, and I'm not saying that she's calling you a kiss ass, but she wants to know, do you still sit front row when it comes to team meetings?
You know what's so funny? Actually, I think as I've come back in, I'm both teams actually in the when I was back with the national team in here, I actually sit in the back row. I believe you have to earn your stripes, I guess is whatever the saying is.
Right.
So that's what happens. You go back in, you have to re-earn your respect. I think there's just something to it when you have to grind again. And so I have actually, I sit in the back. So with my contacts on.
Okay, so you look at yourself now as a rookie, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to kind of feel as if you're the underdog. I think it totally makes sure that you are humbled, and I think it's just a good approach for me to stay focused.
Carly Lloyd, she also wanted to know, do you still wear pants constantly during training?
What? It was really hot in LA, like not like this past few. Actually, last week was actually cool. But I do with the national team, I did, yes. But when it gets too hot and I'm like, but yeah, I like wearing pants. That way, if I'm sliding or whatever, I'm not getting tore up on my legs.
You do you. And speaking of sliding, one of our other questions had to do with slide tackling. Look, you have made your name as a rough and tumble type of player, and I know sometimes when people get labeled that, it can be a little bit offensive because you are without a doubt skillful and you can get involved in the attack and all that. So when you go on the field, though, you enjoy the physical nature of the game and getting stuck in and doing all that. And obviously that's part of your job. Has the physical part just come back naturally?
Yeah, I think it has a lot of build up for sure. So sometimes I need to tame it in. So it's all about balance and moderation. But I think it's a fun part of the game. I think it fires people up. I think they're definitely, well, one, it's good as I'm a defensive player for sure. But two, I think it also can add some motivation to the team around. I think we all kind of get juiced off of it. So I think it's an important piece of the game, too.
All right, a couple more questions, then I'll let you go. I know you got much more important stuff to do here. As we said, 50 days out from the World Cup right now. You came back to the national team a few weeks ago, and 5 minutes in, by the way, you got a yellow card. Loved it. You're only going to get better. When you look at this national team, and every national team is different and every campaign is different, what are we to look for when it comes to this national team? I'm just assuming you're going to be there, but you still have to work, as we said. What are we going to look at this summer when it comes to this version of the U.S. women's national team that has done so much good and been so successful? How is this one going to be the same, and how is this one going to be different?
I really like the variety of attackers that you have. I think that it's been fun to watch as time goes on, that they try different formations as well and be exposed to different things. So I really kind of enjoy that, as like just women's soccer in general has been growing. I really enjoy the young talent. I think people are going to really enjoy that skillful set that they have. I think they add a different like technical footwork piece that it has been a joy to be. And I think just a really hungry team. I think people are just like ready to kind of show what they have. As I know, I think, I'm sure people have been talking about what's going to do, like what players this, what players that, whatever. And I think you have a fun mix of most likely a handful of obviously veterans and a handful of younger players that I think have really gelled together. And I think just watching each player kind of in the NWSL kind of grow into what their skills are, I think it's been really fun to see every player peak at their time. So like every year, you're going to see some exciting things. I just think that the skill level of individuals, especially with the younger players, are going to be really fun.
Who's impressed you? Like who do you think is going to star this summer? If you had to pick one, put all your money on it.
I think it goes without saying it's super fun to watch Soph. I think her attacking 1v1 mindset and able to, one, finish, but two, just kind of read spaces has been a joy. And obviously no surprise how well she did last year in the NWSL, as well as to continue this year. I'm always going to be a huge Crystal fan. Obviously, I think she just is such a competitor, and she's been phenomenal in this NWSL season as well. So I feel like it starts here. Well, Linz is another one too. I mean, I think she's just coming up. I don't quite understand European soccer because she just keeps winning cups after cups. I'm like, didn't you just win a tournament last week and you're winning a tournament this week? So clearly she's doing something right. Obviously, I've played in NWSL my whole career, so I have no idea. I'm like, I feel like you just won a tournament last week, whatever. So she's doing her thing. And obviously I think she's a world-class player as well. So I feel like at this point, you're just going to have me keep going. If I go any further,
that's all right. No, listen.
Player.
No, I love it.
I'm a fan of the team. So it's like hard for me to just pick out a few, but I'll just go with those for right now.
Well, at this point, everything that you have done on and off the field, you also, like I said, have this legacy and you have this impact when it comes to not just the NWSL, not just the U.S. Women's National Team, but American soccer. And look, you stood on the shoulders, as we all did, from previous generations and have made it better. And now you have made it better for that next generation when it comes to, I've worked a bunch of Women's World Cups. I've worked women's soccer, and I love it. I love men's, women's, co-ed, naked, doesn't matter. I love talking about soccer. When you think about women's soccer in general, at times, do you ever get exhausted about all of the other stuff that seems to be talked about when it comes to women's soccer, as opposed to just the on the field and what goes on off the field, and it could be anything, social causes or all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it feels like women's soccer and women's soccer players have this added burden of having to talk about a lot of other things that don't even necessarily always have directly to do with soccer. Do you feel that, or is that just me?
I mean, I don't know, because it's like the only thing like I feel like I've known since I've been a part of it. But I also have seen the growth of women's soccer, and really, if you look at my career from like the time I started in 13.
Well, 13 with the national team.
With the national team is kind of what I meant, like specifically. Was also kind of when I was drafted, kind of as well. So just kind of around that time, like my complete timeline has just been when women's soccer has been accelerated of growth. I mean, it just freaking took off. So I think just watching the growth of it, it's like hard to know, like it just has been a part of it, I guess, the whole time that I've been there. But just to see the growth and I guess the dream kind of come a reality, like, seeing.
What would you want differently? What would you want done differently when it comes to women's soccer, either on or off the field? If you could just wave your magic Julie Ertz wand and things could change.
It's getting there every single year. So it's just like you're selling out games, like women's, I think the Champions League final for women sold out. Like we played sold out games in the World Cup. Like I think it's just amazing. I think for me, it's just, you just want people to enjoy the sport as much as you do, because it's just, gives so much amazing opportunity. My whole life has been soccer, and without it, there's this opportunities of things that I've had to be able to go to college or just travel the world or do what I love, or, you know, inspire young girls. Like it just, because I've had the joy of doing that, like, and part of that is because, you know, fans are investing in us and watching it grow and being a part of it and adding so much joy to the game, just having fans there. I know that it's going to be a joy for, you know, somebody that's 12 years old dreaming to be on the team. You know, like I didn't know that there was going to be I didn't know I could play professionally when I was growing up, because there was never really leagues that like really were sustained. You know what I mean? Like they folded or all this. So now that people could be like, oh, I want to be a professional soccer player and play for Angel City, is like, that sentence alone I didn't have when I was younger. I just was like, oh, I want to play soccer and like hopefully I could go to college. So, and obviously the national team was there, just wasn't really on TV as much, so I didn't really watch it growing up. So I think just that aspect of it has been such a joy. So like, because it's getting there and these games are selling out, it's like I have so much appreciation that it's like, yeah, it'd be great to just, you know, do my magic wand or whatever, like to make it what it is now. But like, I think because my appreciation for that growth was, I guess, organic, and people chose it versus me just being like, you have to do this. I mean, every time someone buys a ticket, it's like a ticket to somebody's dream, because I've seen exactly that. I've watched the DNA of this team fight to have views and people and fans and growth. And that started with players way before me, and including the men's side.
Well, I'd buy a ticket to watch Julie Ertz. Listen, before we go, one more time, tell us a little bit more about the relationship and the partnership, Abbott and the Real Madrid Foundation to beat malnutrition.
Yep. They are bringing attention to the issue of childhood malnutrition and just the importance for kids to be screened early on for the issue. So they have these armbands, the players were given to them, the fans will be given to them, but it resembles, they kind of created it to resemble a MUOC score tape, which is basically what is calculated to see childhood malnutrition early. And so that's incredible what they're trying to do within their foundation is. But if you want more information, I know that my social accounts, but beatmalnutrition.com will give you more information. But what they're doing is obviously super important, as 1 in 3 people in the world are suffering from malnutrition. So just an amazing cause. And I'm just grateful to be able to help elevate their voice and what they're doing.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, listen, Julie Ertz, badass midfielder for the U.S. women's national team. Hell of an American. I love watching you so much, and I'm so happy for you and everything that's going on, that you're back with the national team, that you're back playing soccer. Congratulations to you and your husband on the birth of Madden, coming up on a year here this summer, and we look forward to watching you with the national team. Knock on wood, you stay healthy and continue on, and then obviously post that with Angel City, and who knows what happens next year, but regardless, you have already left a legacy, and you've already done incredible things on and off the field, and we couldn't thank you more for being on the State of the Union podcast. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.